Hi, everybody. This is Cookie Seton. We'll be starting in about a minute. I know that there was a lot of confusion. I hope that everybody was able to get to today's class. First, it didn't look like I was able to give the class, and then things turned around, and I was able to, so I know it's kind of last minute, so I appreciate those that are with us today, and I guess everybody else will sort of catch up on the recording. What I did for today, just going to open my website for you. And just in case for those that don't know the website, it's Cookie Seton, www.cookieseton.com. I know I write Computer Cookie up here, which I really should change because it makes it look like that's the name of the website, something I'll have to just make a change to. Anyway, click into the Excel link, and I have a few things for you. The August 22nd, I think we finished, we're going to go back to that one. That one's called Example of Consumer Mailing. So you might have already downloaded it. If you did, then you just keep with that one. I also gave you one called Inventory, and we'll be working with that. And I know I spelled inventory wrong on it, so you'll notice that there's an N missing, but we'll be able to work with it anyway. And then the last one that you also might have downloaded last week is called Week 4, and that one's Intermediate Lesson 3/4. So those are the ones that we'll be working from for today. So let's go back first to the one that's the example of the consumer mailing, because that's the one that we came up with somewhat of a situation that wasn't dealt with last time. And I don't know if Honey is with us yet today, and it is mostly for her, but I'm sure she'll be able to catch up on the recording. She just won't be able to have any input. Or maybe it was somebody else. If you're out there and this was yours, send me a little chat message so that I know that you're there. But either way, so what happened was that she sent me this mailing list, and let me just ungroup. I was kind of playing around with it. Let's see if I could. I had grouped the columns over here, which I don't want to really leave right now. Let me see if I can just ungroup it, and we'll talk about that another time. It really wasn't working for this particular spreadsheet, so I didn't want to stay with that. Okay, hopefully you're hearing me fine. If there's an audio problem, of course, let me know. So the problem that she was having was that she had this mailing list, and you'll see that it keeps getting longer and longer, and hard to really fit everything on a sheet efficiently. And then when it comes to sending out a mailing, more information than you really need on that page. So I was thinking about the best way to handle it, and I was thinking that it would be better to split it into separate sheets of information rather than have everything on one page. So the first part that I was looking at was, well, which information do I need on this page? Probably just the basic name, address, phone number, parents, etc. As far as which program the people were involved in, well, that probably can go on another page. So what she was having the problem with in this area, in this L column, was that people, it might have been L or M, but it doesn't really matter. People would be part of one program or more than one program. So if it was one program, then what we would do is a data validation, which I'm going to show you how to do. I actually started to do it on here to show it to you, but let me see if I saved it on here to show you. I was thinking about, okay, so I will show you how to create the data validation, and then I was thinking about a few other ways of handling it. So this one option is good if you're only needing one choice and you want that one choice to be the only option. In other words, if the student is taking only one class or in one program, and you want the person that's inputting the data to only have the option of whatever you put in here, that's what we're going to do with the data validation. So that was going to be one way to approach this situation. I'm going to show you another after that. So how did I create this? And I'm going to create the same thing over here so that you'll be able to see what I actually did. Now, if you have this sheet and it doesn't have these columns, just give yourself a new column. Let's just go back home and go to Insert. Oh, let's make sure that we insert an entire column. There we go. No, let me just undo that. Okay, I wanted to make sure it was clean and didn't have any of this in here. So I have my new column, and I'll just call it class. No, it's giving me this, and I didn't want that. Let me go back. Okay, we'll do it from here. So here's where we're going to give each one specific class, one number to choose from. Like you see here, a drop-down menu. Now, you see as soon as I click away from it, you don't see that class, that menu at all. It's only when you're in here that you actually see it. And I don't have it here yet. What I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to choose from here same way. Let's just take that out for a moment. Leave it blank first and drag it down. So now I have blanks, but I see that I have some choices. So how did I create that? What I did is I put on sheet 2 a list, and you'll see here I wrote it out for you. Although I might have written this after I gave you the download, so you might not have this piece of it. I'm not really sure. Either way, it's not that much. You can just write it down. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to create a list as above. I'll just create a new list over here. I'll start with 401, 402. Once I have the two numbers, I'm going to just drag it down, and I created my list. Next part is that I want to name the range. You'll see that it's a lot easier to name the range than to have to use this as the source. It gets a little more difficult to use this as the source when you're on two different worksheets. So before I even do that, I want to see, okay, I have one called list and want to make sure not to use that name. I select my group, and then in the name range area, I'm going to click on, I'll call it class list, and press enter. So I know I have my two groups in here. My class list is this group, and basic list is right here. So now what we're going to do is go back to the cell that you want to contain these choices. So go back to sheet 1. And I'm on this right now, right here. Okay, and what we're going to do is go to data validation, and then allow the list. So here we are going up to data and data validation. And from the first tab, where it says allow, you only want it to work from that list that you just created. And here's the source. Now, here you're going to see why it was important to name that range. If I click into here, I can't get back to my sheet 2, so I can't choose my range from there. So, better way to do it, I'm clicked into here. Now, if you remember from Monday's class, if you hit F3, F3 gives you the named ranges. From here, this is the group that I need. Press OK, and it's put into the source. Without the named range, it gets really difficult. And I'll press OK. There is more to it, but I'll come back to it. So now that I have this, click onto here, and I see that I have all the class numbers in here. But before I even enter the class number, I'm just going to click it and double-click. Just click and drag down. You go as far as you want. You can always extend it later on if you need to. And I'm ready to use it. So I could either choose from the list, and you see that the option is there on all of them. I could type the number in, but watch what happens if I type in a number that's not part of that list. So you see that it didn't allow me to create a value that's not part of the list. And this is the message that will come up. Now, you want this to come up because this eliminates errors. You can only choose from the numbers that are actually available. So we'll cancel that out, and it disappears. Now, coming back to our original list, if you notice, as soon as I mouse over it, I get this little message. It's classes, choose a program. I want that on this group the same way. And let me just go here. So from that, we're going to the input message and write a message. Now, this part is optional, but I think it's a good part to have. So we're going to go back into the data validation. We're going to go to the second tab. And in the title, give it whatever name is appropriate. I'll call this one Fall Classes. And the message will be class list. Okay. The error alert, that is set up the way you had just seen it, but you could change the title and the error message. I left mine on a default message, but you have the option to put your own message in here. And you see now that, again, if I click away, you can't see that there is a list, but as soon as I click into it, I know exactly what it is, and all my options are in here. So now, this is good if you're only choosing one. You can't choose more than one from here. Only getting one at a time. Okay, so let me know, everybody. Are you with me so far? Is it something that you're understanding, something that you see yourself using later on? Or I'm glad to see that everybody's attending. I see the attendance went up since I first started. So, honey, now that you're here, hopefully this is going to be helpful to you. Now, next issue that she had, this list is great, again, if you only have one entry. But what happens if somebody's part of more than one program? Let's say you have 10 classes and they're taking more than one class. Start putting it on this page. It's going to get really weighted down. You're not going to be able to navigate easily, and sometimes on this front page all you need is really the consolidated information, not all the details. So here's how I was thinking to approach it. I'll rename this sheet to just be classes, or it could be day hab, whatever is the appropriate name for your group. I'm going to take this first cell, and I'm just going to put an equal sign and go back to sheet 1 and click into the last name and press enter, and you see that it has last name. And now I'm going to take that and I'm just going to drag it down. Okay, probably went way further than we needed, but that's okay. We got all of our names in here. Now, I know you're going to see repeats. I ended up duplicating some of the list so that I can show you how to eliminate some of the list. but that's why you're seeing the names more than once. Okay, in B1, again, I'm going to press the equal sign, go back to sheet 2, take the first name, press enter, and you see that it takes care of whatever's in there, drag it down the same way. So at this point, I have all the first and last names, and I'll just eliminate this for now. Okay, so with that, the next part that I want to put in here is the different programs that the students could be part of. So I'm going to use this as my example, this 3-day habilitation. But I'm going to separate it here into, again, I don't really know her official names, so I'm just going to give it 302. Okay, once I chose 2 names, I can drag it across instead of continuing to type and leave it this way. Of course, you'll put the names that are appropriate. And if somebody's involved in one of these classes, we would just simply put X's in the programs that they're involved in. And I'm just going to fill in a few so you get the idea of it. Okay, that's enough just to see how it's going to work. So this would be the details of each of the students, but what we need on this page is to know how many programs, let's say, they're involved with. So I'll put it in here. I'll just write count of DAHAB programs. And in here is where I'm going to create a formula that's going to read whatever's in here. Now, there's 2 ways of using the count formula. If you're counting values, simply write count, but since we're counting the amount of X's, we're going to have, that's actually considered text. I have to put the A after the word count. Now, in my parentheses, I'm going to go back into here, drag this across, press enter, and I know how many of the programs they're actually part of. We are going to use the mailing list in here, Connie. I didn't forget about that part. That's going to be part of this lesson. I know you had a lot of different issues with this, so I was kind of taking it steps at a time. So now that I have that, I know from this number how many programs they're part of. But I don't know the specific program. I just know that they're involved with, let's say, 2 programs, 3 programs. So that's what this number is giving me. I'm just wiping this stuff out just for now. Okay, so is everybody with me so far? I just want to read what Connie wrote. We will be needing this for mailing. When we need to let the contact know in the letter the name of the service they're getting, can you use multiple sheets in a mail merge? Yep, that was going to actually be the next part of what I was going to do. That is an option, and I'm going to still give you one more option where it will actually end up on the same page. So stay with me for a moment and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. Another option that you have. So you have, I'm going to go back to the classes and let me make it that bigger. Okay. Got a little too big there. now you're getting a really complicated formula, so you're going to have to really pay attention and stay with me on this one. This formula is going to use a condition. If you remember, we did a lot of conditions in the last couple of days using that if function, but now it's going to become a little more involved. So here's how it's going to go. So if, let's say, C2 is equal to, and we're going to put it in quotation marks because it's text. If it's equal to X, we're going to put a comma. Then C1, which is the name of the program, and of course you could write it out if you wanted to. And this is going to be absolute, so I put that S4, those dollar signs. Okay. Let me just see if I remember what I did here. I put an and sign. This and sign, you could put it, and if you don't, it'll be all right. It's just to add a comma between. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it out because I think it's going to really confuse things. You really could do it without the comma. Let me just think what I wanted to give you next. Okay, let me close the parenthesis and put an and sign. Again, if, another parenthesis. Oops, wrong one. Down here. If D2 is equal to, again, in quotation marks, X, then I want this name. And really, you would continue to do this all the way across the 10 categories. So I'm going to stop after 3, but you would just keep going with this formula. And wait, I just had a question from Connie. Shouldn't there be an equal sign instead of, did I put a dash instead of an equal sign? No, you have it. Oh, yes, right here. Sorry about that. There you go. Okay. Of course, there's an error somewhere in here. Let's see. Where is if before the and? Let me see where that is. Oh, right here. Right here. There we go. Okay. So let me just wrap the text here. I'll show you why I'm going to do that. Okay. I didn't want to get a false, so let me go back here. I guess I do need to put these quotation marks. I thought I could leave it out, but I guess I can't. Let me see if it works with that. And I do need the commas between. But what I really wanted to get was in here all of the programs that they're part of, which you can see here. I do see that I have to be able to separate over here, so we'll go back and fix that. But then this is the information that's going to go back onto this sheet. So let's say right over here, put my equal sign, go back to the classes, click here, enter, and in here I'll see exactly which classes or which programs they're part of. So I would know how many programs and the specific programs right in here. Again, I have to give you the commas in here, so I'm going to go back and add those in right here. So let's go back into this crazy formula that we started. We were up to here, and let me put my and sign. I just got a comment from Hani. Great, this should work for us. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this? Let me just finish off the formula so that you'll be able to use it where it'll actually look presentable. If I put this and sign here, and then in quotation marks, a comma, or even a space, you can put either one. You could just put a space and it'll separate the two programs. And then I'm going to put another comma and a blank. The blank is so that if it comes back false, nothing gets filled in. So you see now I have that comma between. You know what? I think I'd like to put the comma and the space. Let's see if that looks better. Yeah, I'm liking it better now. So if you look at this formula, I know it looks really confusing, but it's not, because it becomes, after the first section, it's all really the same except that it's moving over one. So hopefully that helped. So I'm going to leave this up just for a minute for everybody to read it. Now, this is really an easier way to start entering your information. You have all the people's names, you have all the classes together, and it's not like you're working with a spreadsheet that just keeps going, across pages and pages, and really too hard to focus on what you need to be reading. So I think this is a good solution. Okay. Does anybody want me to leave it up any longer? Did you already write it down? Do you understand it? That way I can move on from there. Okay. So let's talk about doing a mail merge. Not sure if mail merge is something new for everybody, but what I started to do was I started to just create a very simple document, obviously not a full letter, but I just wanted it to have enough so that we can fill things in. And I'll leave this open if you want to create something very similar. Again, it's not a full letter, but it's enough that we'll be able to start to work with the mail merge. So again, I'm in Word. This class is not really about Word, but you really can't do a mail merge without Excel or some kind of a database program. You can do it with Access, with QuickBooks. I mean, you could do it with QuickBooks, but you probably will choose another way to work that one. But starting here, let me make sure that whatever I did in, oops, wrong one. Whatever I did in here is saved. Well, it's read only. Okay, it's not letting me save it right now. And that's because when I brought it in, I think that I'm trying to remember what I did. Maybe when I downloaded it, I didn't actually save it. It's always a better idea to make sure that you save it. Make sure you save it in the right place. Save it in my documents. Another problem that you have is if you open it and then just go to save, what probably will happen is it'll save it in a temporary folder, and then going back to find it becomes its own problem. Okay, let me see. All right, I'll save it as a copy for now. Okay, now going back to Word, I went to mailing, and I'm ready to start my mail merge, and I'll be using this letter. You guys probably use MailMerge more than I do, so if you have any ideas, let me know. Let's see if I do it from here. Oh, I guess it was really already started. Okay, I was actually fine. Okay, select recipients using existing list. And I saved it in Documents, and I'll use this one. Open it. Okay, so now you see that you could select which sheet you're working from. I'm curious if it's going to let me work from more than one sheet. Maybe it doesn't, Connie, you were asking, but now that wouldn't really be an issue because we brought the information onto the sheet one. So select recipient. Oh, no, we did that one already. Well, we don't want to edit it. We're going to leave everybody's name in there. And we're ready to insert the merge field. So from where I am, let me just cancel because there it is, I am there. We'll take first name, put a space, take the last name, and just move it over so you can see. Okay, yeah, it's being shared. Okay, so you see where I'm up to, and close it and then come back in again. And put the spaces where you need them because otherwise you're not going to see a separation. There we go. And then, of course, you can keep going down the list, but the main one that was important here was to be able to insert that new category. I don't remember what I called it, but you could go back and check that. I think this was it, the 3-day habilitation. And then once you do that, you're ready to where is it? Finish the merge. I'm only going to do a couple of them. And you would have all your information. So hopefully that will solve the problems that you're having. And unless there's any questions about that part before we move on, or is everybody comfortable with it? Okay, we'll close this. Did I want to save changes? No. And we're going to close this unless there were any more questions. I think everybody's good with this page so far. So I'll close this and nope, I don't want to save that one. And we're ready for the next one, the inventory. Okay, it's running a little slow. Still running. You know what? Oh, there we go. Okay, we're back. Okay, so now that we have this, this was actually an actual inventory list that came from one of my students a couple of years ago. Yeah, actually it's from 2006. I guess more years than I realized. First off, to put today's date, shortcut, control, semicolon. Now it's updated. Okay, control, semicolon is your shortcut to today's date. I know that it's a little small. I'll just make it bigger so you can see. Okay, there we go. Okay, now what gave it the actual styling that came from here as far as it putting in the time? I don't know, it says 12 o'clock. I think it's actually 12:05. I'm surprised that it would be off. But coming in here, you see that you have the short date or the long date. Right now it's on the long date. You can leave it the way it is or go to more number functions, and in here you could specify the style that you want. Okay, but we'll leave it the way it is. Okay. Page up, page down, just quick review. Where it's frozen is right after row 8, and that came from view and freeze panes. Okay, once we have this, a couple of things that you want to make sure that you're comfortable with is sorting your list and filtering out specific information instead of just looking at an entire list. Again, go back to home and using your sort and filter. If you don't specify, it's going to sort it by whichever cell you have selected right now. If I'm in the on hand and go to sort to filter, then that's, oh, I have some merged cells. I don't know where the merged cells are. Let me see where that was coming from. 1 second. Well, best way to get rid of the merged cells, let me see if I do. This is the area that we're sorting. Okay, it's picking up on the merged cells from up in this area, which it's kind of surprising because all of this is really not part of this. Probably what I would do first off is I probably wouldn't leave all this up here. This, well, obviously not this, but all this really should be in your header, not necessarily on this page. So that's one way to begin, is taking all this information and creating a header and putting all of this inside the header. You really don't want to have extra rows that aren't being used. I don't know what these numbers are here for, but we're going to get rid of all that. Okay. Again, this extra rows, never a good idea unless you have a specific reason to have it there. If you needed to have your tallies, sometimes people like to put their sums at the top instead of at the bottom. It's easier to find. For example, if you have available to sell, in a list like this, it really doesn't mean anything to sum it up. It's usually the individual information that's important, but there's nothing wrong with otherwise putting your sum at the top as opposed to putting it at the bottom, which you'd have to drag down to read each time. Oh, this is way too long to do it this way. I'm thinking equal, oops, go back, equal sum, Control Shift down, Control, did I go too far? let me see what I did. Okay, let's go right back again, undo that. Okay, Control Shift down, Enter, and it didn't work. Wait a minute, I don't know what I'm doing. It's right here. Sorry. Okay. Here's your sum in this area. That way, as you're making adjustments, you have a running total. Okay, and instead of searching for the end of your range, Control Shift down will get you to the bottom of the page instead of searching for it. The more you're working with large spreadsheets, the less you want to click and drag down to find it. Okay, but I'm going to take that out. It's not really what we need here. Again, in this area, you don't want to have any empty spaces that aren't necessary. So you're looking at your list and you want to filter out certain information. You want, let's say you're selling from merchandise that's on hand. You don't want to be looking at zeros. You want to be able to filter it out. Now, I'm intentionally not clicking into that area. When you're using the sort and filter, use your custom sort. That way you're more specific about the information that you need. In this case, you want to sort it by, well, okay, the way that this is set up, it's getting a little confusing because it doesn't know arrow down or page down. Evan, use the arrow down. You know what? I never tried the page down. Let me know if that works. I always use the arrows. So what do we want to sort by? In this case, available on hand. This is another reason I don't like to have all this on top. It's not reading my header row. Let's just clean it up from now. No point in leaving what you don't want. So let's see if we could get to insert the header and footer. Actually, let's copy the information first. Okay. Let's see. Copy. All right, not letting me do that. Okay. What I'm trying to find right now is I wanted to bring it back to normal, and I'm surprised that it's leaving the header over here. Oh, maybe it's not. Let me see. Let me take all this out. Okay, so the reason I took it out is when I go into my page preview, my print preview, I see that it is up here. I know I have some cleanup to do. If you notice, everything is kind of on top of each other. Well, I'll go right into my page setup and I'll just make my top margin a little bigger. That should, well, went even too far. That was, well, let's go 0.5. That should do it. Let's see. Okay. Much better to have it something like this as opposed to having all that other information. Let me go into the header one more time. Custom header. I believe you could put a picture in here, although I haven't done it in a while, but let's see if it's, yeah, it's right in here. Insert your picture. So if you wanted to have a logo in there, I don't know if I have any on this computer, but I'm sure that we would be able, I'll use my logo. Okay. Let's see if it worked. Okay, it's probably too big. It probably is not going to fit properly. I'd probably have to adjust the size of it. Okay, obviously way too big, but you see that if that you certainly can. Let me remove that for now. So I would set up the logo ahead of time, make sure that it's the right size, and then insert it. Okay, that's one part of it. I would still want to eliminate this top row. It's really better not to have two rows here. Like this area is all, is all, see, all this shouldn't be on two rows. This should all be in one row and wrap the text. You'd end up with a much cleaner spreadsheet, and you wouldn't end up with a, see, these are merged and centered. These are fine. This one looks okay. Some of them were okay. Ones like this weren't okay. Okay, so I would definitely keep it like this. Excel's going to have a much easier time when it's searching for your headings later on. Merge and center it, wrap the text, and it looks much better. Okay, so you would do that for all your columns. Once you do that, and I don't really want to do them all right now, then when you go to use your sort and filter, you'll have a much easier time. Let's see, let's go back to custom sort. It's still not reading. Oh, let's put my data has headers. Again, in some of it, it's still having a hard time because not everything is in one row. But especially in these, it's still not. But you see these on hand. Oh, actually, some of them it's reading. So I would go probably largest to smallest. Press OK, and you see that you're able to see merchandise that you have most on hand working your way down. So not everything is about formulas. A lot of times it's just keeping inventory, keeping your list, and being able to pull out the information that you need instead of reading an entire sheet all the time. Let's see how far. If I press Control End, it takes me straight to the end. You can see that there's 1,100 entries. Much easier than searching through all the entries. It's 12:19 right now. Let's just take a couple of minute break. Take like 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back. Thank you. Oh, I'm just going to answer. I see somebody has a question. No, I think I answered it as far as the arrow down or page down. You know what? I'm going to actually try it for myself because I want to see. Well, I know that the arrow down works fine. I'm going to try the page down and see if that works equally well. Let's see. If it's Control Shift, no, page down actually took me to my next page. So let's not use that one. Okay, a minute or two and we'll be back. Okay, ready to go again. All right, so just the last part, just looking at what I had here, quantity available only. Where that would probably come from is just taking from what's on hand. If I go page down, let's see if I had a lot of zeros. Yeah, it looks like I have quite a few zeros in here. So if I don't want that part on my list, I really wouldn't put it on a separate sheet. What I would do is just filter. Let's see if I can get back in here again. Why isn't it not letting me sort and filter right now? I don't even see that as an option. What did change? I see that this is not available right now, and that's not a good thing. Unless it's because I tried to save it. I'm going to save it again just in case. Because I know it's also, again, a read-only. Every time I try to save something, I think it. All right, let's try it again. Okay. Now that I saved it, I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I'm not liking that this is suddenly not available. Let me close it and reopen it and see if anything changes. That's so odd because this was just fine before, and let's see if I open the original one again. Okay. All right, I guess we won't filter it out. I don't know really what changed. I probably would just select everything, copy it, and paste it into a new sheet and hope that I don't know why it's suddenly saying non-commercial use here. I don't know what suddenly seemed to, oh, well, I think I got it back now. Don't ask me why. Now I see this as an option. Still reading it as read only. Anyway, okay, let's see if it'll let us filter out in here. I'm gonna uncheck the zeros and keep everything else. Okay, at least we're back in business. And now our list has no zeros, so, or you could even take out probably even more than just that, anything with a real low inventory. And now your list is only reflecting what you have on hand. So using those filters will make your list more usable than what it is when you're looking at the entire list. Okay, let's close this. We had enough of this one, and I'm not saving any of the changes. And we'll close this one. Nope. And we'll close this one. There we go. Okay, this is what we were up to last week, last Monday. So we started to, let me just bring it up on my other computer. We started to talk about everything that was set up beforehand. So even though there were no entries as far as students, we already had all the formulas set into place. And we looked at how that VLOOKUP worked If there's any questions about that, we can go over it. Hopefully you understood it. If not, then we'll review it. Okay. If you go into 628, can you quickly review it? Okay, I will go over it then. Looking at 628 is where it's already filled in using the VLOOKUP, and I will show you how it worked. So if you see student name, A1, here you already have well, you don't have an actual student name, you just have a number for now. Let me see what I had done here. Course number. Okay, the course number, that was set up with the data validation. And where is this actual list right now? It's coming from, Connie got disconnected. I hope she comes back. I guess she's somewhat connected because she's able to tell me that she's disconnected, so I hope we get her back. Okay, so from here, I can see where my list is coming from. So if this was set up ahead of time and you want to be able to make changes on it and you don't really know where that list came from, here it shows me the source. Now, this time the source is just showing it as a range, not as a named range. This is fine because it's on the same page. I mean, it's always fine to do it this way, but it makes a little more sense when you have the name range. It's a lot easier to work with. So from here, I can see right away that the course name is coming from this area. If it's a new term and I want to change the list, I know where I have to go back to change it. This one has no input message. Again, we can easily just put it in. And in the message, even if you wanted to give yourself just a reminder of where that list came from, you can do that too. There you go. Oh. Sometimes my hand is leaning against the keyboard and it jumps around. There we go. Okay, so here's the course name. You try to fill out anything except for these numbers. It's going to give you that alert. So again, I can't write the wrong course number. And now that brings us to the course fee. Now, what is this formula? This formula is going to be referencing right in here. This is our VLOOKUP. So the first part, it's not absolutely necessary that you put this part. You really could start it at equal VLOOKUP. The only reason I add this area in is because if B2 is empty, this is what this part of the formula is saying. If B2 is empty, return, well, no, the first part is going to be to return whatever's in the VLOOKUP. If it's full, the first part is going to go straight to the VLOOKUP. If it's empty, instead of giving me a 0 or a blank, a space, I just want it to stay empty. So this second part, that's what this is doing. It's saying just give me an empty space. Don't give me, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you by, let's see if I do it here. If I take out this part of the formula, you'll see the difference. Okay, formula still works because there's a course name. If I remove the course name, you see what's happening? I'm getting this not available. I don't want to see a course fee not available. I want to just see a blank area. I'm going to take it out from here. I'm going to delete this. And you see how this becomes blank now? I'd rather it plugging this formula in, it's letting it know that if B2 is actually, it's going to read from here. That's what, no, it's actually not. If B2 is empty, then give me just blank, give me empty. And so that's what this part is doing. It's just leaving it as a blank as opposed to something like this. So let's just drag that down. Again, see if I keep dragging down, it's not like I have to look at NA in this area. I just get blank areas. Okay, let's bring everything back. Okay, we brought it back again. So just to review the VLOOKUP, what is it talking about? Let's go back one more. Okay. The VLOOKUP. If the beginning, it's first looking at, and if you really want to follow the formula, you can just click into the FX. It'll show you. Actually, this one is getting a little confusing, so I'm going to close that part for now. So if the first part, the first condition is look in B2, that's where it's looking. Once you look in B2, you want to reference this table array, this area here. Let me go back so you can see it. That's your K2 to L8. That's your table that it's going to reference. Now, again, those dollar signs, that's your absolute. Make sure that this part doesn't move. It locks it in place. So once you do that much, once you look in this table, return what's in the second column. That's what this 2 is about, the second column. The last part of column 0 is don't return an estimate, only return an exact value. Now, again, here, you only could get an exact value because we forced the name to only work from the list that's in here. If we tried typing in anything other than that, let me just do it one more time. Let's say I forgot to put the B in. I get this message, this error message. It doesn't allow me to make that error. Okay, so again, your VLOOKUP is here and referencing this table array. Now, the start of the quarter, we talked about this last week. Although you're looking at a date here, Excel is reading it as a serial number, so it can take that serial number and it can take this serial number and it can do the math. So again, what it's doing here, the beginning is don't give me, if I take all this part out, I'm going to do it again so you can see it. If I was to do a simple formula, again, the number comes out correct, the number comes out the same, but if I remove, let's say I remove this course name, you see, well, now even if I remove this, let me remove this, here's where you're going to get an error that you don't want to get. So that's the reason for adding this part of the formula. So you're starting to see that those conditions are useful in so many different ways. Okay. The discount rate, again, another VLOOKUP. Where is it referencing? Now it's referencing this area. So again, it starts with the condition. I don't want to have any error message. I just want to get a blank. If there's nothing there, just give me a blank. Because here, if I come here and I just scroll down, again, you're not seeing any errors, not available, any of that because of this part of the formula. Okay, and that's it. That's it for this one. So you see that you're able to set up your template without any information, save that template on its own. Hopefully you remember how to save the template. Again, put it on its own sheet. Like here, it's within a whole workbook. Put it on its own sheet and then save it as has, because you really don't want everything else coming with it. You want it to be on its own file. Okay, this one that I named Janet. You know what? I think I'm going to leave this out. This came from one of the students that she had also a situation that so she sent me something that was already set up. What we did here, okay, this one right now is empty. Let me see what we had put in here. Okay, originally from J2 to J51, what we had in here was all the states abbreviated. I don't remember if I did that with this group, but if you needed a list of states, you don't want to start figuring it out yourself. Go online. It's available. Just, Google state abbreviations, and you'll find a list. What we did was we took one of those lists, we put it in one of the columns on the right side, so it was a little bit off from the main area. Again, it could be on its own page, which is probably even better, but just remember to save the name. And then the location wasn't only something that you had to type each time, like it's not letting me because of the, I probably have to put something in here too. No, I think it was J. It started in J2. So you would have your list over here, let's just say, and then from in here, it would, now it's not reading it, but it should. Okay. You really want to put this after you set up this list. So I don't really want to spend time with this, but that's why it's here from before. So since we still have a few more minutes, let's close this one and we'll open, no, I don't want to say that, we'll open exercise 5, week 5, even though we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it's okay. We'll still have more than enough to work on. And this one is my pivot tables. Hope I remember what I want to teach you about that. Let's see if I can find it. Did it open? I don't know why it's taking so long. Let me try it again. Oh, it is open already. Okay. Okay. Pivot tables is about consolidating information. Right now, you see, not that it's a very long spreadsheet, but hold on, everybody. I have to answer my door. 1 second. Actually, I wish you could go talk to him. Okay, excuse me, everybody. So somebody at my door that I wasn't expecting yet, so little interruption. Okay, let me just open the right page again. 1 second. Okay. Well, it didn't open yet, but I'll be able to start you anyway. All right, so we're going to talk about pivot tables and being able to consolidate information. And just the viewers out there, let me know if pivot tables is an area that's new for you or something you've done before. So we're going to go from, we're in our home, we're in our data tab right now, but we're going to move into the insert tab. And, okay, it's new. So we'll spend some time with it now. We only have about another 10, 15 minutes, and we'll finish it next week. So I'm just looking at this list, and if you see that I have quarter 1 to 4, and I have different products that are repeated more than once, and I'm thinking even something like this would be good for Hani to use in her programs where she wants to be able to see quickly which programs have more people or something like that. So you see the 4 columns here. I went to insert and I'm just going to click onto pivot table. All I did was click it, and on its own it's selecting the range. You see the little marching ants going around the range, and you see your sheet range from here. Okay, right now I'm going to leave it on the existing worksheet. Where do I want to put it? I have to specify a location. I'll put it right here in this G2, and you see that it fills it in for me. That's okay. And this is the beginning of my pivot table. Now, you really love how simple this is to work with. Now, you see in my pivot table field list, as I check off one of the fields, and I see right away, I took regions first. You'll see that it goes into the row labels, and we're going to adjust those things later. And I'm just going to click and save them all. Now, the units sold coming from this works a little different because it's quantities. You see, so far everything's been dropped into the row labels. Now you're going to see the units sold drop into the values. So right away I'm able to see within region 1 how the sales were separated. So I see here I have, and I'm going to collapse these a little bit so you can see things a little better. I'm just going to look at the summaries of the quarters instead of looking at the individual breakdown. So I see within region 1 how much was sold in each quarter. Same for region 2. I can make some changes to this list, and just by changing the order of things, if you see I'm in the lower right-hand corner, now what I did is I'm looking at it by quarter instead of by region, and I can get a quick look at how much was sold in each quarter. I don't have to do any mathematical equations. Excel takes care of doing the sums. We're going to do more than just sums, but you see right away I'm able to look at the condensed version or be able to open it and look at the breakdown. So once this is all here, I could move things around. I'm going to pull the region up to the filter area. Now, the reason I did that is I might only want to focus on region 1. Maybe region 2 is not something that I want to deal with right now. So instead of looking at all of it, I'll just choose region 1 and only look at the figures for that area. Again, if I don't like the order I have it in, I'm going to click and drag it and move it and change the order. So it's that simple. I could click, let's say, into quarter 1 and put it into my column labels. Again, I'm looking at the same information in a different view. Okay, just want to see if there was anything else in this area. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, looks like from the chat area that pivot tables are new for most of the students. I do plan to spend a lot more time with it. We actually finished everything that I had planned for today. Some weeks there's more questions and it seems to take more time. Other weeks we just seem to go through it quicker. So I will be ending a little early today, and on Monday we'll be spending a lot more time with pivot tables as well as a few other formulas. Again, if anybody has any areas that I might not have covered or didn't mention covering, please send me an email, let me know about it, and we'll make sure in the next 2 classes to cover that. Again, we're going to be ending a little early today, but I think we covered a lot of work. So if there's any questions before I actually sign out, let's just see if anybody wrote. How many more sessions? We have 2 more sessions. I know that we're meeting without a problem on Monday. Wednesday, I should be able to, but I'm going to let you know for sure on Monday if there's any time problem. I'll let you know as soon as I can, but we do have 2 more sessions left. All right, everybody. Thank you for all your attention, and have a great week, and see you back on Monday. Okay, bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. And Evan just wrote, Kayla never responded to review sessions. You know what? I'm going to actually call her and remind her and see if there was any kind of problem. If there was, I'll find out. But I know it really makes a difference to have those sessions so that you can keep up and not fall behind. All right. Thank you, everybody. And until Monday. Bye-bye.